Article 1. The history and cultural significance of the Aboriginal Dreamtime. Dreamtime, or the dreaming, is a central aspect of the spiritual belief system of the Aboriginal peoples of Australia. It encompasses the creation myths, the ancestral beings, and the moral codes that guide Aboriginal culture. Unlike linear Western conceptions of time, the Dreamtime is not restricted to the past. It operates outside the conventional boundaries of time and is ongoing. The Dreamtime explains how the world was formed, how people came into existence, and how the natural world and human society should coexist in balance and harmony. According to Aboriginal traditions, the Dreamtime began when the ancestral beings emerged from the earth, sea, and sky, shaping the landscape and establishing the laws of nature and humanity. These beings were both creators and lawgivers, often taking the form of animals, plants, or natural phenomena. Their actions are recounted in songs, stories, and ceremonies, which are passed down orally through generations. The connection between land, people, and Dreamtime is fundamental to Aboriginal identity and spirituality. A key component of Dreamtime stories is the notion of songlines or dreaming tracks. These are paths across the land or sky that trace the journeys of ancestral spirits as they moved through the world during the Dreamtime. Songlines map the physical terrain, but they also encode cultural knowledge, such as hunting practices, water sources, and sacred sites. Following these songlines, Aboriginal peoples can navigate vast distances, relying on the songs to guide them both physically and spiritually. The cultural significance of the Dreamtime extends beyond mythology. For Aboriginal Australians, it informs their relationship with the land and their community. Land is not merely a place to live, but a repository of sacred knowledge and spiritual meaning. Dreamtime stories are often tied to specific geographic features, such as mountains, rivers, or rock formations, which serve as living monuments to the ancestral beings. Caring for these sites is seen as both a spiritual duty and a communal responsibility, often requiring complex rituals to maintain the balance between humans and the environment. The transmission of Dreamtime stories and practices is vital for the preservation of Aboriginal culture. Elders play a crucial role in passing down these stories to younger generations, ensuring that cultural traditions endure. Ceremonial gatherings or corroborees are communal events where dance, music, and storytelling come together to celebrate the Dreamtime. These rituals serve not only as cultural preservation, but also as a reaffirmation of communal identity and solidarity. The Dreamtime has not been immune to external pressures. The arrival of European colonizers in the 18th century marked the beginning of significant disruptions to Aboriginal society. The forced displacement of Aboriginal peoples from their ancestral lands, along with attempts to suppress their cultural practices, led to the erosion of many Dreamtime traditions. However, despite these challenges, Aboriginal communities have fought to preserve and revive their Dreamtime heritage. Today, many Aboriginal groups work to protect sacred sites, teach Dreamtime stories in schools, and promote cultural awareness in broader Australian society. In contemporary Australia, the Dreamtime continues to play a role in national identity and social dialogue. For many non-Indigenous Australians, learning about the Dreamtime provides a deeper understanding of the country's First Peoples and their unique connection to the land. Aboriginal art, which often depicts Dreamtime stories through symbolic representations of animals, landscapes, and ancestral beings, has also gained international recognition. This art form not only showcases the richness of Aboriginal culture, but also serves as a medium for educating others about the enduring relevance of the Dreamtime. The concept of the Dreamtime also resonates with global conversations about environmental stewardship. The Aboriginal belief in maintaining balance with nature offers lessons on sustainability that are increasingly relevant in today's world. Indigenous knowledge systems like the Dreamtime emphasize living in harmony with the natural environment rather than exploiting it. This worldview aligns with modern environmental movements which seek to foster greater respect for the planet's ecosystems. Ultimately, the Dreamtime represents more than a mythology. It is a living framework that continues to shape Aboriginal social structures, legal systems, and environmental practices. It offers a profound understanding of the interconnectedness of all living things, reminding both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people alike of the importance of preserving cultural and ecological heritage. Article 2. The role of social enterprises in economic development. Social enterprises have emerged as significant players in the global economy, blending business strategies with social goals. These organizations exist at the intersection of the non-profit and for-profit sectors with the primary aim of addressing societal challenges while maintaining financial sustainability. By pursuing this dual mission, social enterprises contribute to economic development in unique ways, often bridging gaps that traditional businesses or governmental institutions struggle to fill. Their growth in recent years reflects a shift in economic thinking where the measurement of success is not solely based on profit but also on social impact. One of the key roles of social enterprises in economic development is fostering inclusivity. Many traditional businesses focus primarily on profit generation, sometimes neglecting marginalized groups. Social enterprises, however, often prioritize creating employment opportunities for disadvantaged populations, including low-income communities, people with disabilities, and minority groups. By integrating these groups into the economic mainstream, social enterprises not only reduce inequality but also promote a more inclusive economy where all members of society can contribute and benefit. Another critical contribution of social enterprises is their role in promoting sustainable development. Unlike businesses that might prioritize short-term gains, social enterprises frequently adopt long-term sustainable practices. This can involve reducing environmental impacts through eco-friendly production methods, advocating for fair trade, or focusing on the ethical sourcing of materials. These practices contribute to broader economic development by ensuring that growth does not come at the expense of environmental degradation or social exploitation, aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal (SDGs). Social enterprises also play a vital role in innovation. By focusing on solving specific societal problems, they often develop creative solutions that can be scaled and applied more broadly. For example, microfinance institutions, which provide small loans to individuals in low-income regions, began as social enterprises. Their success has inspired larger financial institutions to adopt similar models, illustrating how social enterprises can act as incubators for innovation that fuels broader economic growth. This capacity for innovation, rooted in addressing specific social needs, often gives social enterprises a competitive edge in sectors where traditional businesses might struggle. Financing, however, remains a significant challenge for social enterprises. Unlike traditional for-profit companies, which can easily access capital markets or secure venture funding, social enterprises often face difficulties in raising the funds needed for expansion. Investors may be wary of their hybrid business model, concerned that social goals will outweigh profit motives. To address this issue, new funding mechanisms have emerged, such as impact investing, where investors seek financial returns alongside measurable social and environmental impact. These alternative funding models are crucial for the continued growth and sustainability of social enterprises. Additionally, governments play an essential role in supporting the growth of social enterprises through favorable policies and regulations. In some countries, governments have introduced legal frameworks that specifically recognize social enterprises, offering tax incentives or grants to encourage their development. These policies not only help social enterprises thrive, but also foster a broader ecosystem that promotes economic development through socially responsible business practices. Education and training are other crucial areas where social enterprises contribute to economic development. Many social enterprises are involved in providing educational programs or vocational training, particularly in regions where formal education systems are lacking. By equipping individuals with the skills they need to participate in the workforce, social enterprises help build human capital, which is a critical driver of economic growth. This investment in education, particularly for underprivileged populations, helps break the cycle of poverty and opens up new economic opportunities for communities. The ripple effects of social enterprises on local economies are also significant. By operating in underserved areas, they stimulate local economic activity. For instance, a social enterprise that provides agricultural training to farmers not only improves the farmers' productivity but also enhances food security and generates income for the local economy. Similarly, social enterprises focused on healthcare or sanitation in remote regions create healthier communities, which in turn lead to a more productive workforce. Despite these contributions, social enterprises face ongoing challenges. In addition to financial constraints, they often operate in highly competitive environments where traditional businesses dominate. Furthermore, measuring their success in terms of social impact, as opposed to straightforward financial metrics, can be difficult. Without clear benchmarks, it can be challenging to quantify the extent to which a social enterprise is fulfilling its mission, potentially limiting its ability to attract investors or expand its operations. In conclusion, social enterprises play a critical role in economic development by fostering inclusivity, promoting sustainable practices, driving innovation, and stimulating local economies. Although they face challenges such as financing and impact measurement, their potential to address societal problems while contributing to economic growth makes them essential players in the modern economy. As more governments, investors, and communities recognize the value of social enterprises, their influence on economic development is likely to grow even further. Article 3. The cultural significance of flamenco dance in Spain. Flamenco, a passionate and expressive form of art, holds deep cultural significance in Spain. Originating in the Andalusian region, flamenco encompasses a blend of singing, dancing, and guitar playing, all of which communicate a range of human emotions. Its origins are often linked to the Romani people, also known as the Gitanos, who settled in Spain in the 15th century. Flamenco is not merely a form of entertainment but a way of life for many Spaniards, symbolizing personal and collective identity, particularly in Andalusia. The art form has evolved over the centuries, influenced by various cultures such as Moorish, Jewish, and Christian traditions, reflecting the rich and diverse history of Spain. Flamenco dance, known as a baile, is perhaps the most visually iconic element of the art form. The dancer's movements are intense and purposeful, involving intricate footwork, dramatic arm movements, and an undeniable emotional depth. While the dance may appear spontaneous, it is governed by a complex set of rules and traditions that must be mastered over many years of practice. The interaction between the dancer, singer, and guitarist is fundamental to a successful performance. This synergy allows for improvisation, making each performance a unique experience that resonates deeply with the audience. The emotional expression in flamenco is closely tied to the concept of a duende, a term that is difficult to translate, but refers to a profound emotional and spiritual intensity. Duende is what separates a technically proficient flamenco performance from one that is truly captivating. It's believed that duende is something that cannot be taught, rather it emerges naturally in those who have lived experiences of deep suffering, passion, or joy. This emotional authenticity is what draws audiences in and makes flamenco so universally relatable despite its cultural specificity. Over time, flamenco has transcended its origins as a regional and marginalized art form. In the 19th century, flamenco gained popularity beyond Spain's borders, particularly in Europe and Latin America. In recent decades, it has been recognized as part of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO. This recognition has helped preserve its authenticity while encouraging new generations to continue its traditions. At the same time, flamenco has been adapted and transformed in various global contexts, influencing genres like jazz, rock, and contemporary dance. However, the globalization of flamenco has sparked debates about cultural appropriation and the loss of its original meaning. Some critics argue that commercialized versions of flamenco performed in tourist venues dilute the emotional depth and historical roots of the dance. These performances, they say, prioritize spectacle over substance, catering to audiences unfamiliar with flamenco's cultural significance. In contrast, purists maintain that true flamenco cannot be commercialized, as its essence lies in personal expression and lived experience, which cannot be commodified. Despite these debates, flamenco continues to be a living, evolving art form. In Spain, it remains a central part of celebrations, festivals, and even political expression. For example, during Spain's transition to democracy in the 1970s, flamenco was often used as a form of protest, with lyrics addressing themes of oppression and freedom. Today, flamenco is not just a relic of the past, but a dynamic cultural practice that continues to reflect contemporary social and political issues in Spain. The role of women in flamenco has also been a topic of interest. Historically, flamenco dance was predominantly a male domain, with women often relegated to more passive roles. However, in recent decades, female dancers have emerged as powerful figures within the flamenco community, challenging traditional gender roles and stereotypes. Their performances have brought new dimensions of emotional expression to the art form, particularly in their representation of female strength and resilience. Article 4. The history and impact of the global financial crisis of 2008. The global financial crisis of 2008 is widely regarded as the most severe financial crisis since the Great Depression of the 1930s. It began with the collapse of the U.S. housing market, driven by the widespread issuance of subprime mortgages to individuals with poor credit histories. The ensuing wave of defaults and foreclosures caused significant losses for major financial institutions, many of which had invested heavily in mortgage-backed securities. As these losses mounted, the crisis spread from the housing sector to the broader financial system, resulting in a near collapse of global banking. A major factor contributing to the crisis was the complex financial instruments used by banks and investors. These included mortgage-backed securities, MBS, and collateralized debt obligations, CDOS, which bundled together various loans and sold them to investors. Although these products were designed to spread risk, they actually magnified it. Many investors, including some of the world's largest financial institutions, underestimated the risks associated with these instruments. As defaults on mortgages increased, the value of these securities plummeted, leading to massive losses. One of the most significant consequences of the financial crisis was the failure of major financial institutions, such as Lehman Brothers, which declared bankruptcy in September 2008. The collapse of Lehman Brothers sent shockwaves through the financial system, leading to a freeze in credit markets and a sharp decline in stock prices worldwide. The U.S. government was forced to intervene, bailing out several large financial institutions to prevent the total collapse of the banking system. In addition to financial instability, the crisis had profound social and economic effects. Unemployment rates soared as businesses cut jobs to cope with declining revenues. Millions of individuals lost their homes due to foreclosures, and household wealth plummeted as the stock market and housing prices fell. The effects were particularly severe in the U.S. and Europe, where many economies fell into deep recessions. Governments and central banks around the world took unprecedented steps to address the crisis. The U.S. Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank injected vast amounts of liquidity into the financial system by lowering interest rates and purchasing government bonds and other assets. These measures were aimed at stabilizing financial markets and encouraging lending, which had nearly ground to a halt during the crisis. In response to the crisis, governments also introduced stricter financial regulations. In the U.S., the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act was passed in 2010 to prevent a repeat of the crisis. This law aimed to increase transparency in financial markets and reduce the risk-taking behavior of financial institutions. Key provisions included the creation of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau (CFB) and stricter oversight of large banks and financial firms. Despite these measures, the recovery from the 2008 financial crisis was slow and uneven. Many countries, particularly in Europe, experienced prolonged periods of low economic growth and high unemployment. Moreover, the crisis exposed deep structural issues in the global financial system, including the interconnectedness of banks and financial institutions. This interdependence meant that problems in one part of the world could quickly spread to others, amplifying the impact of the crisis. The long-term impact of the global financial crisis is still being felt today. It fundamentally changed the way individuals and governments view the financial system, leading to greater skepticism about the role of banks and the risks associated with complex financial products. It also spurred debates about income inequality, as the crisis disproportionately affected middle and lower-income households, while many of the financial institutions that contributed to the crisis recovered quicker. In conclusion, the global financial crisis of 2008 was a defining moment in modern economic history. It revealed significant flaws in the global financial system and led to sweeping changes in financial regulation and economic policy. While the immediate crisis has passed, the lessons learned continue to shape financial practices and policymaking as governments and institutions strive to prevent a similar event in the future.